and the military leaders were poring over all of the facts and statistics and trying to determine whether or not to use the atomic bomb. And after Okinawa, I think that was a trigger for President Truman, from what I've read. He said, no more killing, no more killing. He had made up his mind about the atomic bomb. But, see, we had already dropped 2, and the Japanese did not surrender. They were still prosecuting the war. According to the research that I've examined, our military leaders were planning to invade Japan November 1, 1945. The invasion, you could use your own imagination about casualties that would be involved. You said $1 million. I've read anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million. Anyway, we were getting ready to invade Japan if they did not surrender. This would have been a horrendous battle on the islands of Japan. Even the civilians were being trained to fight. It would have been a hand-to-hand kind of a battle. And the Japanese kamikaze planes, you've probably read about them, they would have been diving into our ships at sea, our ships that were coming in to be a part of that battle. So there's been a lot of discussion and debate about whether or not we should have dropped the atomic bombs. But as you said, it actually ended up saving a lot of lives.
And not to mention the civilian lives that would have been killed in the home islands as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I was eager to get in the Navy and I do my part, and I signed on for the duration of the war, whatever that was, whatever that would be. Some men were drafted and signed on for like 4 years or 6 years. I just signed on until the war's over. And yes, but if the war had not ended, but it did, I would have been caught up in that invasion of Japan. I know it would have been.
Might not be sitting here right now.
So I look back and think of, reflect on that, and I'm grateful that President Truman had the intestinal fortitude to go ahead and prosecute that part of the war.
I have a question. Did any of you watch television the other night where they were showing the B-29s bombing and they showed the firebombing of Tokyo? Did any of you see that, military channel? Well, a lot of people don't know what happened really then. See, we were dropping bombs from 30,000 feet, and with the air current, what do you call it, the airstream?
Airstream.
Yes, was taking them all out and dropping in the bay. So then LeMay came over. He said, gentlemen, from now on we're going to go in at 5,000 feet at night. At night. When he said that, everybody said, we're going to drop incendiaries. Well, the incendiaries, if you know what they are, they come in cases about this long, about this big around, and you put them in the bomb bay, and when you drop them, they break open like a metal suitcase breaking open, and hundreds of them go sailing out, and each one has a little thing on the tip. What is it they used in to start fires over in Korea or somewhere? It's a little thing.
Ignite?
No, it's something on the end. I don't know what it's called. I don't remember either. But anyway,
Ignite?
They burn up all the forest over in somewhere.
Napalm.
Napalm. Thank you, napalm.
Yeah.
Each bomb had napalm on the front and had wings on the back and had a little parachute. Well, hundreds of those would go out, and with the wind blowing to it, they'd scatter, 15, 20, 30 miles. So that's what did the damage, was dropping those bombs. But we were fortunate enough, we went over the first group of that. We didn't get the smell till we did it the next day. But a lot of the fellows got sick because you're flying at 5,000 feet with the bomb bays open. You're not pressurized. And the smell of the burning wood and paper and humans and dogs and cats and humans. Well, one fellow on my crew got sick one day and threw up, but you don't realize, you never thought about that. You're dropping those things, that you're gonna get that smell, and I can still smell it today.
I was just about to ask you, that's probably.
I can still smell it.
Yeah.
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 That's why we got our
You got it
ideas
there.
about incinerator bombs.
Right. Anyway, I messed up on what they look like. But anyway, y'all know what they look like.
We had some of those aboard the ship.
Yeah.
You fire to it, you fire.
Yeah.
Those, it lights up at night.
Yeah.
The only thing, when you light up at night, to find the enemy, they can see you too.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, mention the prisoner of war camps that you all helped.
Oh, yeah, well, when we dropped those supplies at the prisoner of war camps,
In Japan.
yeah, this was about 2 weeks after the surrender. We couldn't find some of those camps because we didn't know where they were. Red Cross gave us some maps, but they were so old. And a couple of times we flew up a dead-end canyon, and fortunately my pilot was real good. He'd set that thing up on one wing, we'd come right back out.
Wow.
But some of them we found on level ground, we could go in and drop. We'd make about 3 passes, go over the first time, try to find the camp if we could. And the people in the camps, if they could get some paint, they'd paint up on the roof, put a P and a W up there. Well, it was hard to find a P and a W in a little camp. But we fly over, turn around, come back, and then the third time we go, we drop the bomb, the supplies.
Not the bomb.
Supplies. Yeah, I got kind of wound up today. Y'all got me wound up today. But anyway, it was just the most traumatic one for me was when we had bombed, we dropped supplies, we came back a few days later. These men had taken rocks and whitewashed them and put them out in the middle of the field and said, thanks, 300 men. Written out whitewashed rocks. You saw it in my picture, didn't you? And you know what I've tried to find, I can't do it. I'd like to find, one reason I'm pushing, I'm not advertising me, I'm advertising World War II and trying to remember it. I wish some guys would find these pictures and get in touch with me. I could give them the negatives and give them those pictures of the camp that they were in. They might be in one of those pictures. That happened with 300 men, those guys standing out there waving. You know, I hope they can, if they ever find it, because these pictures are in 5 different museums. The Smithsonian, and the 5 other military museums. So hoping someday somebody will see them and say, I was in that camp. And if they get in touch with somebody, get in touch with me, I'll give them a picture.
Did he tell you that he did all of this photography with a $12 brownie?
Yeah, I didn't have an expensive thing like that gentleman got that. He's got more money than I have anyway. So, it was a $12 Artis camera, and it was great. I had one roll of color film. My dad sent me a roll of color film. And, oh yeah, Jack, thank you. Jack's my advertising man. I took color photos of the B-29s. You saw them in the book. They're the only color photos of B-29s in action known of.
Wow.
The Smithsonian, they tried to find out, as far as we know, they're the only ones in color. All the rest of it is black and white.
But isn't it great that they're in the Smithsonian?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And the editor of the Smithsonian Air and Space magazine, we've got to be pretty good friends because I keep sending him all this stuff, you know. And so he invited me up to a VIP tour 2 years ago, and got to see the man came out. We were about 200 people waiting to go in the museum. This man comes out and walks up to me and says, "Are you Mr. Longshore?" I said, "Yes." He said, "We've been expecting you." Well, nobody's ever expected me before. So we went on in and said, "What's the first thing you want to see?" I said, "The Enola Gay." So we went over, and it's in the book, if you fellows have seen it. Picture of me, he took a picture of me standing under the Enola Gay.
Well, they wouldn't let us take pictures.
Well, they don't want to take a picture of you anyway.
That's the reason, I guess.
We were lucky.
But when we couldn't write a letter home.
That's true.
Everything was censored.
And it would, by the time it got there, everything had been cut out of it. Stamped out of it. And so, the captain decided to print us some letters that we could send home. And all we had to do is sign them and mail them.
Artis, I know your daughter's in the room, I think she is.
Yeah. Where are you,
But I'm
Patsy?
sure she already knows this.
I can't see y'all. I can see white shirts.
But I thought surely you would tell them about your stop when your ship got into the South Pacific after the North Pacific experience.
Oh,
you
stop
stopped
it.
in
Honolulu.
Honolulu.
Wait a minute, he can't say some of these things in front of his daughter. No, it's not about that.
Get some of that tissue for your ears.
All I did,
No, she doesn't know about that yet.
Patsy, all I did was have my picture made with the hula girl, and I paid them $1.
Okay.
More to it than that.
And that was it. And I had several.
Yeah, you have more
Every
than
time we
one.
go to a different place, I'd have my picture made with somebody.
You better quit talking right now before you say too much.
I'm hushing.
You know, when we were on Okinawa, we went in right after the invasion. We landed on Yantan airstrip, was a car, just a big old coral rock. And at the end of it was a pit. If you missed, you brake failed, you went down the pit. But anyway, we had to stand plane watches, 24/7, two of us, one on the bow and one on the back. And the Japanese were sneaking up and putting hand grenades in the axle sort of the plane, and then blow it up and lost the plane. And also they had kamikaze, and talking about it come over and flying the plane. Well, one night, my second radioman Harden was up on the bow and I was on the back, and we would hear like something dragging. Harden called and said, "Will, you hear that?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You hear when he's dragging his bag of bombs and he picks it up and sets it over?" And we ended up on the same cot back to back. I mean, it scared us to death. And finally, we realized what it was. The bow turret cover, wind would blow it up, and when it would go up, the metal on the clips on the end of to tie it down would drag against the fuselage. The fuselage would get that noise back. And that's what it was. So we stayed back to back the rest of the night on that cot. And see, when you come in off a mission, by the time you service your plane, you had to walk and we lived in tents. And you had to walk to your tent through sweet potato. They grew sweet potatoes on large patches of it. And we walked across there, somebody that jumped up and said, "Boo, we'd all died of fright." But it was something else.
A lot of things too that I know these fellows had the same problem. I don't remember when I took a bath. I know I took a bath, a shower, maybe once a week or that. Shower, whenever, if it had water, they'd bring water and put it in a big tank, and if you weren't there right then, you didn't get anything. Sometimes you'd go down there and get all soaked up, and the last drop coming out of that. What do you do now? So my mother sent me a cake of Oubre soap, so I started bathing in the ocean. It works. You didn't feel too clean, because you're still sticky, but at least you got some of it off.
We took the metal part of our helmets, and we made a rack out in the back.
Yeah.
I had a picture of it, and I don't know how to probably put it in there. And let's cut out with knives.
Make you a laboratory.
Yeah, like a laboratory. And then we get 5 gallons of water from a tank. And 7 of us would use that 5 gallons of water. And one night, air raid sirens went off, and they had a smog thing that they blew over the island. They just covered the island up, and plane would come over there, and the air raid went. Well, Ernest Dickens from Columbus and I were bathed, we were both buck naked, all soaked up, and dropped the bomb. We didn't pay attention to it, and it dropped the bomb about, I guess, maybe a half a mile when it hit the mud, but we could hear it and feel the concussions of it. We ran and took those helmets, held them over our head, and ran and dived in a foxhole, buck naked, both of us.
You didn't get very clean, did you?
We had to rinse off some more after we got out of there.
Jack, I've got to tell them about the rats, and I've got to shut up. We lived in a tent on Guam, and the tent next to us were 5 members of the same crew. Herb and I were lucky, we had a big 6-man tent, only 2 of us in there. Well, there was no floor, it was just dirt. When it would rain, the mud would be about that thick. And so we borrowed a couple of boards from somewhere, like this wide and that long, so we could put it right by our cot to put our feet on it, put our shoes on that night. Well, you leave your shoes there at night, and sometimes after a real hard rain, you get up the next morning, your shoes and the board have all washed out into the middle of the field. You gotta go find your shoes. But that wasn't so bad. The worst part is at night when you're trying to sleep and you hear this scratching noise. It's the rats eating around the edge of your sole of your shoes. They start here and they go all the way around. They didn't eat in the middle, just around the edges of them. And so one night there, Herb was a restless sleeper, and he didn't tuck his mosquito netting in too good, so to hold his arms, you know, you got a little mattress there, and you tuck your mosquito netting in, you sleep like that. But his arm fell out onto the floor. All of a sudden, he let out this scream. I grabbed my flashlight and looked over there. A rat had bit the end of his finger off. So we complained about it a lot. You know, so finally they brought in these frogs from Australia to get rid of the rats, and they did.
We didn't have that.
Now we had to figure out how the frogs could get rid of those rats. The rats were about the size of a cat, and the frogs were a little bit about the same size. But I watched one of those frogs one day. They could extend his tongue out about that far. He had probably had poison on the end of his tongue. That's probably how he got rid of it. But after that, we didn't have more rats after they brought in the frogs.
One night, we were all under those mosquito nets, just like you said, and we took gallon cans and filled them up with dirt from the chow hall and set our cots on them. So
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And all of a sudden, a carbine went off. All 15 rounds. And all of us, we just roll out of the cot, got all tangled up to our net, mosquito nets up and everything. And when that last shot went off, it said, "Halt, who goes there?" And the guy, we had mattress covers on a clothesline we had washed, and they were flapping in the breeze. That guy shot holes off. They thought it was a person, I
Oh,
guess.
God.
But we had holes in the top of the tent and the mattress cover we shot to pieces.
If anyone in here is planning to go into the military service, we probably talked you out of it, I'm sorry.
You don't go in the Navy.
Well,
Let's
don't
see,
go in
you're
there.
outnumbered, aren't you?
Yeah, I know I'm outnumbered. Yeah. But you know, lucky that night that the rat bit her finger off, I had just washed a pair of white socks, and they were hanging up on a string in the top of the tent. So I took his finger, it was bleeding real bad. I didn't know anything about first aid, so I wrapped my sock around there, put a piece of string on it. We went back to bed because it was about 2 or 3 hours before we could get up, and I walked him over to the first aid station and they put a couple of stitches in there. But little things like that, you know, it didn't bother us. It was just an everyday thing.
When we got ready to wash our clothes, our dungarees, they call them blue jeans now, but they're dungarees then, we would just tie them to a rope and throw them over the side and let the water, the boat sloshing around.
Sometimes the rope would break.
And if they're real dirty, we'd throw a bar of soap overboard.
You know, Artis is a good friend of mine. I'm really glad I wasn't in the Navy with him, though.
You know, when the war was over with Germany and Japan, they sent us out a letter and telling us how many points it takes to get out of the service. And there was about 15 aboard our ship that had more than enough. I had enough points to get out twice. I tried to sell some of them. But anyway, I appreciate the Lord letting me serve my country, and I thank Him for bringing me home. And I know a lot of people lost their lives, but you have to do what you have to do.
We're all lucky to be here. We're blessed that we came back.
They say they're dying off, World War II veterans dying off about 500 a day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's, so we are lucky. Artis, how old are you?
I'll be 88, the 20th of this month.
I'm not as old as these fellows, dude.
No,
90.
85.
87.
I'm the senior member
I
then.
told you I was young.
Yeah.